everyone, and welcome to another episode of Car Wash Magazine Live. I'm your host, Matt DeWolf. Hey, on this episode, you guys, we've got Miles Johnson and Rocky Crossland from Miles Auto Spa and Express Car Wash in Tennessee. Going to be joining us on the program in just a little bit here. But first things first, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. So, first and foremost, look, a couple of weeks ago on this program, we talked a lot about customer journey maps and what that is and how you can get started and really what to look for when you're doing that process. And you can go and check out that full episode at carwashmagazine.com. But maybe, you don't have a lot of time in front of a screen to be able to watch that. Maybe you want to listen to it on an upcoming trip, some windshield time. We just this week have released for you an audio-only version of that episode under the Car Wash the Podcast brand. So carwashthepodcast.com, you can get it there. You can download it wherever you are consuming your ear candy for your podcast consumption. So make sure you check that out. All the same great stuff in there from the episode. Really worth listening to and getting your mind around. So another thing I want to talk to you guys about. One of the things that we always talk about on this program is people. And you're going to hear Miles and Rocky in a little bit here talk about customer experience and creating that and how, getting the right people can be key in those scenarios. And one of the things that comes up as you start to scale any business like this is that you need good training. So good training for your managers is going to make all the difference in the world. ICA has launched their lead initiative, which is online car wash training for car wash managers with some practical application in there as well. Super useful. But you don't want to hear that from me. Why don't we hear it from Nick?
Dude, man, this is a really incredible program. The management portion of it covers the stuff that I can't, and it builds these kids into managers that not only make my place more successful, but they can take those skills and use them at other businesses, and they're super applicable.
All right, so that is straight from Nick, why he likes Lead and how they're doing with the program so far. Make sure you check that out. Last week, we had Jerry Miller from Jerry's Express on the program, and he talked to us a lot about what he's done over the last 30 years to kind of build his successful business. A couple of things that I really loved about that conversation with Jerry. He was talking a lot about his board and how they kind of helped in that decision-making process. And then he was also talking about making sure you're real clear with your customers and being mindful of kind of insider talk. And so in case you missed it, here's a quick glimpse from last week's episode.
For me personally, having a board of directors was an accountability that has been with me since I started the industry. So those guys were instrumental in making this thing work for us. And I think the other thing that not only their wisdom in their field of expertise, but they brought a customer perspective to the table too. And so, just as an example, wheel deals used to be popular back 25, 30 years ago. But what is a wheel deal? I mean, the guys in the car wash industry knew what a wheel deal was. It was wheel cleaning and tire dressing. Customers didn't know that. And so we did little things. We changed it to wheels and tires package. It made sense as a consumer.
What did one ocean say to the other?
I don't know, Ella. What did it say?
Nothing. It just waved.
Look, there's a couple of things that are really important in any comedy routine, and one of those is timing, and the other one is delivery. And man, that was some pretty good delivery in that one. Hey, special thanks to them for sending that video in. If you guys want to send me your jokes, you can do that. mdewolf@carwash.org. You can send them yourself telling them. You can send them your kids telling them. Or you can just send me the written joke, and I will find someone to tell it for you, whether that's me or my kids or, hey, anyone else's kids in the industry who want to try out their comedic talents. So without further ado, my friends, let's take a look now at Miles Auto Spa and Express Car Wash in Tennessee. All right, everybody, so we just got to see a great tour of Miles Auto Spa and Express Car Wash in Tennessee. Now joining us on the program is Miles Johnson and Rocky Crossland. Guys, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for Matt for having us.
Hey, guys, I'm super excited for this because I had a chance to be at the Auto Spa back in I think it was like 2016 when we had the car wash show there. And we took a bunch of great photos and got to see the really awesome kind of like sweeping shade structures and stuff there. I love the lines of it. I love the look that you guys have pulled off. We're going to get into that. And we're going to talk a lot about kind of the experience and the customer experience you guys build and kind of the brand side of things. But before we get there, let's back up a little bit. You guys started out in kind of the full service space. You guys are doing some express now. Let's kind of back up and get the high level story. Maybe Miles, maybe you can kick it off for us.
Well, in terms of how we got into the whole space, or how we switched from full service to express.
Yeah,
how do you want to go?
Let's go back to the beginning, from when you decided that you should no longer be in the cellular device industry.
Yeah, well, we wanted to be in our own business, and I think Rocky and I both had a long time in the corporate world, and we wanted to do something on our own. And we noticed in the car wash space, which we're both car geeks. Let's start with that. Rocky and I are both like total car geeks. And we started looking at, or I started at the time looking at car washes and thought, there's probably a little bit more differentiation that we could probably do with the space, and not make it so much of a kind of a laborious activity, more of a something that you'd want to go do.
Yeah.
Right. And a place where you'd want to go hang out. And so that was really the concept. Let's find a place. Let's make an experience that where someone would want to go get their car washed, but for the 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the 1 hour time that they were going to spend there, let's create a little bit more of a better experience than what most people are expecting when they go to car wash. And so that's the genesis of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think when we were talking previously, we were talking about, you don't want it to be like when you got to go to the DMV and like suffer through something. If you're going to spend some time in a place, like make it worth it, make it fun, make it enjoyable.
Yeah, my experience was, and I thought, well, there's got to be a reason to go to a car wash that doesn't feel like you're sitting at a DMV or at and I don't have anything. I love tire shops, but I don't really like particularly sitting in a tire shop for an hour and a half while my tires get changed. So we were just trying to come up with something that would say, you know what, come here, you're going to enjoy the experience. We're going to give you some things to do inside. We're going to give you some reasons to be here. You might not even be here to wash your car. You might just want to come here and have a meeting. So we had fireplaces. We had flat panel televisions everywhere. We had free Wi-Fi. We looked up, on numerous occasions, and we had people that were meeting at our facility that they weren't even there to get a car wash. The principal reason that they were there was to have a meeting, and then was kind of, oh, by the way, while we're here, let's get our cars clean. So it was really something more about creating a destination location where somebody wanted to be. Almost, I hate to reference Starbucks, but I'm going to reference Starbucks because they do pretty well in that space.
They do okay.
We kind of wanted it to be the Starbucks of car washes, to be honest. And that's how this whole thing, that's the genesis of how this thing happened.
So you guys started out with a really high touch, full service approach, and this kind of like high end vibe and a really professional space, really focused on customer experience. And at some point, you made the decision to get into express washing as well. Can you talk through just kind of what that decision process was like, and like why you decided that maybe express was desirable for you?
It was a gut-wrenching decision. I will tell you that. But here's what kind of kept this idea kind of afloat the entire way. From the day we opened, half of our customers chose to only get the exterior of their car wash done. And we didn't have free vacuums. We weren't really doing an express model whatsoever. It was full on, full service, with detailing and so forth. But we always offered the opportunity for you to go through and just get the exterior of your car washed, period. You didn't get out of your car. You didn't come inside. You simply pulled through the car wash. You got the exterior done, and you left. And we were at the same time sort of, I think, fighting the industry trend, if you will, of everybody was going to the express model. Everybody was getting out of the full service model. And at that time, Rocky and I just frankly did not believe that was the way to go. So we stuck with our full service model. We had a luxurious lobby. We did all these things for people that got out of their car as soon as they were greeted and came inside, and then we took care of the rest of it. But in the background, dealing with employees, dealing with increasing wages, increasing rents around our area, we began to believe that this is something that's going to become a problem for us as we go forward. And knowing that half of our customers go through and get their car washed on our lower level plans, half from day one. We kind of picked up on the fact that, well, there's obviously a population of people that don't really want to come in,
right,
and they don't really want to pay the extra money. And they are perhaps at least a data point that we can rely on should we ever decide to go along with the industry toward this express model. And so we kept track of that and had the data necessary to kind of make that decision when we did in fact decide to make it.
It's fascinating that, it's first and foremost, it's excellent that you had the data, right? Because that makes, as much as, you got into the industry because you wanted to create this new thing and this high level experience. And then, you start looking at the data and the labor is getting a little challenging, and it's like, man, I don't get to do that exact thing I wanted to do anymore. But at least I know, that the data supports the direction that we're headed.
Right.
And that's not to say that, look, that you guys are still doing things from an experience perspective that fulfill on that kind of passion and promise of a high level, high value kind of experience.
Right.
Rocky, can you talk a little bit about just some of the things that you all do kind of operationally to reinforce that experience and that level of professionalism?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of competition in the space. So anything you can do to differentiate yourself really sometimes can be the difference between the customer using you or using your competition. So a couple of the things that we do that we think are different. One, we use only the best products, the best equipment, and the best chemicals that we can find. I think there's a propensity in the industry to try and cut cost on chemicals and use the cheapest stuff that you can find. We only use turtle wax products. Every chemical in our tunnel is from turtle wax. We feel like it's the highest quality, most consistent product. It's not the cheapest, I don't think, but we continue to want to deliver the highest product. That coupled with our equipment that we use, we don't skimp on our equipment. We don't skimp on the maintenance of our equipment. I think that turns out a really high quality product for us. A couple of the other things we do when our customers come around to use our vacuums, we have baskets just like you would get at a grocery store with our logo on them. And in that basket, we include glass cleaner, we include all-purpose cleaner, and we include 3 different colored towels. Black towels are for the wheels and tires. The red towels are for the body of the car and the interior, and the blue towels are strictly for the glass. And we have signage up that kind of teaches customers how to use these products like you would if you were working in a professional detail shop, so that you don't cross-contaminate your chemicals and get tire shine on your windows. So that you can be there a few minutes getting that off. So we try to educate the customers and teach them how to use these products as a professional detailer would. Everybody likes getting their own basket. They don't like having to compete for towels and supplies out on the cart against the other people. They like their own stuff. So we give them their own basket. They check in. They give us that club card. That club card is like our rewards program, and we keep it. Kind of like checking out a beach chair at the beach. When you bring it back, we give you your card, and we give you some extra bonus points on your card for turning the basket in. So customers like that process. It gives them their own stuff. They don't have to bring anything. They've got everything they need to do all the cleaning.
Yeah, I love the beach chair analogy, right? Like, if you want this back, you better bring the chair back.
That's exactly what we talked about. Rocky and I discussed when we were in Florida. When you go out to get your chair, you got to give them your room key, and we're like, wait a minute, maybe there's an application here for a car wash as well. So that's kind of how we approached it.
That's really funny. I think the thing you hit on, Rocky, that I really want to make sure that folks take away from this is you were talking about best products and you're talking about these baskets, and that's an experiential thing. But I think that at the end of the day, it's about consistency, right? And doing what's right for you to create the customer experience that you want to create for those customers. And I think what I've seen from you all at Miles, you guys are doing an exceptional job of being consistent and sticking to your guns on the things that really work well for you guys. So kudos for that.
Well, thank you very much. We talk a lot with our employees, and we do a lot of training around getting our employees to understand what our brand promise is. And our brand promise is that you're going to come in, we're going to deliver the highest quality car wash that we possibly can, and we're going to do it while giving you world-class customer service. So a high-quality product, great service. Those 2 things get customers coming back. They really enjoy it. They appreciate the fact that we go the extra mile to deliver on that every single time a customer comes in.
One of the things, Matt, that we do that I think is different than most businesses, much less just in the car wash space. So we will get a negative review, or we will get someone that will write in onto our website and say, I had the following experience and it's not what I expected. And we jump on that like it's going to put us out of business. That one comment is going to shut us down. So we have people that number one are assigned to attack that problem. And we do two things. We always offer, number one, we have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and we let them know that. Number two, we want to give them their money back. If they're not happy, we don't deserve getting your money. You deserve it back. Number three, not only do we give your money back, but we'll redo the wash. We offer it 100% of the time. And I would say, I wish I could say 100% of the time. It's obviously not that, because every consumer has a certain behavior. But I would say that 99% of the time that solves the problem. And so we jump over the hurdles necessary to get everyone that deals with us to understand that if you're not happy with our service, we're going to make it right. Does it happen? Does it work 100% of the time? No. Does it work most of the time? Absolutely. And I would say that, I don't have a data point on this, but I would say that about 99% of the time that solves the problem. And so we go over the top to make sure that, hey, if you have any issue with us, if your car doesn't come out as clean as you think it should be, if for some reason you've had some negative experience with us, let's solve it. And so I think culturally among our employees, that's the one thing that we try to get across, and we do on a consistent basis. And we have people assigned to make sure that happens. Oftentimes, Rocky and I both will get involved in the discussion if it needs to be, if we need to get involved. Most of the time it doesn't, because we got employees that solve for it.
It's the power of good training, right? I mean,
good training and empowerment and letting them solve the issue and not making them have to say, well, my boss said this or my management team said this. We're like, we don't believe in that. We believe in just solving the problem, solving the issue, and having that customer leave going, wow, I didn't get this at any other business I shopped at today, be it a car wash or a grocery store or a shoe store or what have you. Our intention is for them to leave being overwhelmed with our ability to satisfy whatever issue they have.
Yeah, a lot of folks can get pretty squirrely, when it comes to their car, and so being able to be a good steward, right, as you're in this business and in this industry, I think is super important. And a lot of times, it's one of those things that can grind on you a little bit, right? Like if you're dealing with customers all day, maybe you're having a bad day, maybe they're having a bad day, but at the end of it, it's all about having a little bit of grace, right? And knowing that they're gonna come back if you treat them with that grace.
That's the perfect word. Grace is the perfect word. Leave them with something that they feel good about, and they've had a good experience with someone who owns a business, and nine times out of 10, that's going to be a win-win situation for all of us.
Yep. Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to get into growth a little bit here, and this next topic is a fun one for me because I was trying to poke holes in this when we first talked, and I've been trying to poke holes in it ever since, and I'm hoping that somebody else can poke some holes in it for me. So we're going to talk about modular buildings, guys. Like your first location is definitely not a modular building. It's a beautiful, large, traditional. That's not even the right word. Traditional is not even fair. It's a beautiful full service operation. And then you started getting into the express side of things, and you did things a little bit differently. You still have some of those same components and those same brand elements, but you all went modular. Why?
I think, and Rocky, jump in here. When you build your first one, you're not necessarily thinking about scalability.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about unique. How do I make it unique? And that was really what we were talking about on the first one. And so we went to a local architect here who has done some very notable projects. Much. I had to talk him into doing a car wash, to be candid. He's done much more notable projects across Nashville, but I wanted to go to him because he kind of had a modern flair and a modern take on things, and we wanted to do something modern. And I looked around at how all of the auto manufacturers, mainly the Porsche,
Yeah.
BMW, the more modern looking facilities, and in particular their dealerships looked and where they've gone over the years. And I thought, this is kind of the direction we need to go. And so I went to this guy and said, I sent him all kinds of pictures, and here's the ambiance we want, and et cetera. But the fact is, on one location, that's okay. But then when you want to scale it, curved walls, curved glass, a lot, I began to realize, and Rocky's an expert at this. He's more of a construction guy than I am. But I started looking at how do we take costs out of, if we want to do number 2, number 3, number 4, how do we take costs out yet still replicate the brand?
Yeah.
Replicate the look. And so we went with, and I hope this is okay to mention, but we went with Modern Wash, and they just do wonderful work. And not only can they replicate our brand and make a wonderful looking facility that is not so customized per se, but is replicable. And once you do one, and then you want to do 2 and 3, well, there's a lot of costs that were embedded in number 1.
Yep.
that don't transfer to number 2 and don't transfer to number 3. And so those costs are taken out. And not only that, and Rocky can get into this much more easily than I can, you've got a blueprint that exists. And as long as you can kind of find a space, a land, a piece of property that fits what we need it to do, guess what? We've already got a building, and we've already spent the money on the design of that building. And if we can bring that exact same building onto the footprint, it's kind of a no-brainer, and it cuts our time to market, meaning time from the time we contract on the ground to the time that we start washing cars, by what, Rocky? 50%?
Yeah, probably.
50%?
Typically, it saves us about 6 to 8 weeks in the process, Matt. When we originally designed the building, Miles and I sat down with the folks at Modern Wash, and we picked out the signature elements in our existing building and our existing brand, and we were able to tie those in with our modular design that we use. We still use our sloping sky sails that we have produced that give us a very unique look. They're at all of our locations. And so we picked these signature elements. We were able to replicate those with the modular building. But while we're doing the dirt work and the underground utilities of the construction process, our building's being built. And we're doing it simultaneously. We don't have to wait in a linear fashion for the construction and dirt work to be done to start doing brick and stick mortar. Our building's being produced. They bring it in on trucks, and typically within 10 days, we've got a building with a roof on it, where that process normally takes 8 to 10 weeks if you're doing it in a stick and brick fashion. So it saves us a lot of time. We believe it saves us somewhere between 20 to 25% on our costs, on our construction costs. And that doesn't take into account all of the expenses Miles was describing, where we have the ability to save a lot of engineering cost and a lot of engineering time, because we're taking it off the shelf and we're putting it on a new footprint. So those items are good. The last item that definitely makes a determining factor in this is modular buildings have a different depreciation schedule than regular stick and brick. We can depreciate it faster. The tax codes associated with this allow us to maximize the benefit of using a modular building instead of using a traditional 25-year schedule.
That's fascinating. So here we are again. Lots of benefits for going modular. I think the thing I want people to make sure they caught there. Well, I mean, the last thing is huge, right? Anytime you're saving money and you're limiting your taxes, that's great. But the brand consistency and Rocky, what you said about picking out those signature elements, I think that's super important if you are going to go down that modular path, because then you have those things that don't make you look like every other facility, right? And I think that's huge.
You keep your individuality while scaling quickly.
Yeah, so you get that brand consistency, and then the speed to market thing is huge. I mean, being able to, like you said, do the dirt work and then drop the building on. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want 6 to 8 weeks back in their time to market?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, I'm not going to keep it too much longer. I do have one last question that I like to end with, and I'm giving folks a twofer because we've got two of you guys on today. So if somebody's watching out there today and they want to know one thing that they can do today to make them a better operator tomorrow, what would you say? And let's start with Rocky. Why don't you go first for us?
Okay. I think the biggest thing, if you're an operator today, you've got to figure out how to differentiate yourself from the competition. If you're doing exactly what your competition's doing, then you're just waiting on traffic patterns to tell you how much volume you're going to get. Figure out where you're at in the space, figure out where your competition is, and add as much value added items as you can in your services to differentiate you from your competition. You've got to find something to stand out.
Yeah, good advice, especially as in this industry, competition only continues to increase. So very important to differentiate. Miles, how about you? One thing I can do today to make me better tomorrow?
Well, I think, for me, I think there's a lot of new interest in the business and the industry. And so my biggest advice is to someone who thinks that they're coming into the space and it's just purely passive. It's a passive income type of opportunity as an owner. And they underestimate the complications of what the business really entails. Because my belief is it's a very complicated business, and it's not for someone who says I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing and I'm going to build this car wash over here and I know it's just going to run on its own. That is not the case. It's not, at least it's not the case from my belief. So my belief is come on into the business, but either be prepared to partner with someone who knows what's happening and is aware of the business and aware of all the industry, upsides and downsides and pitfalls and so forth. But don't think that we all hear these friends. We all hear these folks that come along and say, man, that's printing money. That's a cash cow. It's a golden goose. It's none of the above. It takes hard work to run one of these things, and a lot of input, and a lot of brain thought, and a lot of energy, and a lot of calories are spent on it. And so that's my biggest deal. It's a great industry, and I love it. And I think Rocky and I would agree that this is something that we have just really been blessed to get into. But I would not take it lightly. I think I would just be really speaking to new investors at this point. Take it seriously and understand that it's not something you just get into and build a building and then the money starts flowing. That is not the case.
Yeah, famous last words, right?
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm super excited.
Thanks for having us.
Super excited with what you guys are doing. I love the look of Miles. I know you guys are growing. I'm really looking forward to see where you go next.
Thanks,
Thank you so much. Much appreciated, and really enjoyed the show today.
Awesome. Hey, if you guys are watching at home and you want to see more stories like this, you know where you need to go. You go to carwashmagazine.com and check out the live episodes there. You can watch them on YouTube as well, or you can mindlessly scroll Facebook as long as you would like. They are all there as well. So until next time, friends, you know what you need to do when you're out there. Keep it clean.
I'm just having a good day.